Ambassador Jack Winters stared at the holographic invitation floating above his desk, its ornate alien script pulsing with an annoying blue glow that matched the throbbing in his temples. Another day, another diplomatic headache. The Galactic Council's 47th Annual Peace Summit. Fantastic. Computer, translate this garbage and give me the highlights, Jack muttered, reaching for his coffee mug only to find it disappointingly empty. Translating. The AI responded in its irritatingly chipper voice. The Galactic Council cordially invites Earth to participate in the 47th Annual Peace Summit, it to be held at the Harmonious Accord space station in the neutral Epsilon Eridani system, as per tradition. All participating species are required to send their primary diplomatic representative and a military attaché of senior rank. Jack groaned. Not this again. The Council wishes to remind Earth that failure to bring appropriate military representation for the third consecutive year will result in formal censure and a potential suspension of your non-voting observer status. Computer, get me the director. The holographic display flickered, and the stern face of Director Elaine Powell appeared, her grey hair pulled back in its customary severe bun. Her expression suggested she was already aware of Jack's reason for calling. Let me guess, Ambassador. The Peace Summit invitation. Yes, Director. They're threatening to suspend our observer status if we don't bring military representation this time. Director Powell sighed, pinching the bridge of her nose. Ambassador Winters, I thought we had been clear on this matter. Earth's official policy remains unchanged. Under no circumstances are you to bring military personnel to these summits. With all due respect, Director, this is becoming increasingly difficult to explain to the Council. The Veldarians are particularly insistent. They seem to think we're hiding something. Well, technically we are, Powell said with a hint of a smirk. That's not helping, Director. Look, Jack, Powell said, her tone softening slightly. I understand your position is uncomfortable, but this comes straight from the top. The Joint Chiefs and the President are in complete agreement. No military personnel at alien peace summits, period. Period. Can I at least know why? It would help if I could give them some kind of explanation beyond because I said so. Powell's expression hardened again. That's classified, Ambassador. Need to know basis only. I'm the one facing down 7-foot-tall reptilians with more teeth than patience. I think I need to know. Your diplomatic creativity has served Earth well so far, Ambassador. I'm sure you'll think of something. Powell out. Yeah. The hologram disappeared, leaving Jack alone with his frustration and empty coffee mug. 3 days later, Jack found himself packing for the summit and contemplating career choices that wouldn't involve explaining inexplicable policies to irritable aliens. Archaeologist. Librarian. Anything that didn't involve the phrase galactic incident. His office doors slid open, revealing his assistant, Milo Rodriguez, a lanky man with perpetually disheveled hair who had somehow ended up in the diplomatic corps despite starting in the maintenance department. Ambassador, your shuttle is prepped and ready, Milo announced, his enthusiasm undimmed by Jack's obvious gloom. I've packed all the usual diplomatic gifts, translation devices, and enough antacids to neutralize a small acid lake. Thanks, Milo. Any word from the director about our situation? Milo's smile faltered slightly. Only this. He handed over a sealed envelope, an antiquated form of communication reserved for the most sensitive information. Jack broke the seal and read the handwritten note. Ambassador Winters, maintain the established protocol. No military personnel. If pressed, you are authorized to bring a cultural attaché instead. Milo has been briefed. Good luck. Director Powell. Jack looked up at his assistant, who was now grinning like he'd won the lottery. Milo, what exactly did the director tell you? I get to be your cultural attaché for the summit. I've already packed my formal uniform and practiced my diplomatic nods. Jack closed his eyes, feeling the headache intensify. The fate of Earth rests on a former janitor and a diplomat who can't even get a straight answer from his own government. The aliens are going to love this. The Harmonious Accord space station lived up to its name in architecture only. The massive structure resembled a gleaming silver snowflake suspended in space, its symmetrical arms reaching out in perfect geometric harmony. The diplomatic atmosphere inside, however, was about as harmonious as a cat in a bathtub. Jack's shuttle docked at the designated Earth berth, noticeably smaller than the grand bays allocated to the major galactic powers. As the airlock cycled, he gave Milo one final briefing. Remember, you're a cultural attaché. That means you talk about Earth music, food, and art. You do not, under any circumstances, mention your extensive knowledge of industrial cleaning solvents or your championship title in the station maintenance robot races. Milo nodded enthusiastically while adjusting his hastily tailored diplomatic uniform. Got it, boss. I am culture personified. I've been binging Earth history documentaries for the whole trip. Which ones? Jack asked, suddenly suspicious. Ancient aliens and wrestling's greatest moments. Really fascinating stuff. Before Jack could process the impending disaster, the airlock door slid open to reveal their welcoming committee. A delegation of various species stood in formation, led by a tall, willowy alien with iridescent skin that shifted colors with each subtle movement. Ambassador Winters of Earth. The alien's translator device intoned. I am Chief Facilitator Xylos. Welcome to the 47th Peace Summit. The alien's skin rippled with formal blues and greens. And this is your military attaché. Cultural attaché, Jack corrected quickly. Milo Rodriguez, Earth's foremost expert on culture. Milo stepped forward with a bow so deep he nearly toppled over. The pleasure is all mine, Chief Fascinating Xylos. May our cultures mingle like cleaning solutions forming a powerful new compound. At Jack's glare, he added, That's an Earth poem, very famous. You went? Xylos's skin flashed a confused yellow before settling back to diplomatic blue. Indeed. Most unique. The delegation chambers are prepared. However, the military symposium begins in 1 standard hour, and all military representatives are expected to attend. About that, Jack began, Earth's policy. It remains an enigma to the Council, interrupted a gravelly voice. A hulking reptilian pushed through the delegation, armor plates clinking with each heavy step. Proconsul Drazthar of the Veldarian Empire, he announced unnecessarily. His species was unmistakable, 8 feet of scaled muscle topped with a frill that expanded when agitated, as it was doing now. 3 summits now, and Earth sends no military observer. The Council grows curious. The Veldarians' translator couldn't quite capture the menacing undertone, but the 4-inch teeth made the subtext clear enough. Jack maintained his diplomatic smile. Earth values these summits primarily as cultural exchanges, hence our cultural attaché. Drazdhar's yellow eyes narrowed to slits. The Veldarian Empire does not recognize cultural attachés as legitimate diplomatic representatives. That's unfortunate, Jack replied smoothly, as Earth doesn't recognize empires that annex 17 planets in a standard year as peacekeepers, yet here we all are. The reptilian's frill extended fully, a vibrant red display of aggression that sent several smaller delegates scurrying backward. Perhaps a new voice interjected, we could continue this discussion at the reception. A blue-skinned humanoid with 4 arms stepped between them. Commander Velka, Andorian Defense Force, she introduced herself with military precision. I find Earth's diplomatic approaches fascinating. Quite right, Commander, Xylos said, skin flashing relieved purples. The reception begins momentarily. As the delegation moved toward the station's central hub, Commander Velka fell into step beside Jack. Your species continues to puzzle the military contingent. Ambassador Winters, race developing worlds proudly display their military achievements. Yet Earth, despite having achieved faster than light travel, remains reserved. We're humble that way, Jack replied, or exceptionally confident. Velka observed with unsettling perception. Some speculate Earth hides its true military capacity. Others believe you have evolved beyond the need for armed forces. Which theory is correct, I wonder? Jack smiled. Maybe we're just really into culture. Behind them, Milo was enthusiastically describing Earth's traditional combat ritual of WWE to a horrified Plagarian diplomat, complete with demonstrative elbow drops. Indeed, Velka replied, unconvinced. The summit promises to be educational. Jack silently upgraded his antacid needs from lake to ocean-sized. The reception hall of the Harmonious Accord Station was designed to accommodate over 50 different species, which meant nobody was comfortable. The temperature was too cold for some, too hot for others, and the gravity settings made Jack feel like he was walking through pudding while Milo practically bounced with each step. Servers glided between clusters of delegates, offering trays of multicolored substances that might have been food, but could just as easily have been industrial lubricants. Jack stuck to what he recognized. Nothing. Ambassador. A voice chirped behind him. Jack turned to find a small avian species, feathers neatly preened into what must have been their version of formal attire. I am Representative Craw of the Corvisi Assembly. We are most interested in Earth's military abstention. Is this perhaps a spiritual position? Are humans pacifists? Before Jack could answer, another delegate joined them, a gelatinous blob that communicated through colored pulses. The TZT collective doubts pacifism, the blob's translator device intoned. Our intelligence suggests Earth survived 3 global conflicts before achieving spaceflight. Not the history of pacifists. Jack put on his best diplomatic smile. Earth's position is complex. What my distinguished colleague means, Milo chimed in, arriving with a plate piled high with questionable delicacies, is that Earth's military approach is like our spicy foods, better experienced than explained. He popped something purple into his mouth, immediately turned crimson, and began fanning his tongue. The avian's head tilted curiously. A military so fearsome it cannot be discussed. I didn't say that, Jack protested, but Milo was creating a scene by desperately chugging a blue liquid that, unfortunately, it turned out to be a ceremonial bathing solution for the gelatinous species. By the time Jack had apologized to the offended blob and steered Milo away from the refreshments, 3 more species had joined the conversation about Earth's mysterious military absence. Perhaps, suggested a crystalline entity that glittered with each word, Earth's warriors are simply too formidable to be contained in diplomatic settings. Or too primitive to be acknowledged, sneered Draz Thar, who had materialized near their group. The Veldarians' frill vibrated with barely contained contempt. Maybe they're invisible, offered a gaseous being, its voice emanating from a translator device floating within its cloudy form. Has anyone considered cloaking technology? Jack opened his mouth to correct these increasingly absurd theories when the station's alert system chimed, signaling the start of the military symposium. All military attaches, please proceed to Conference Chamber Alpha, announced the station's AI in over 50 languages simultaneously. The various representatives began filtering out, leaving the diplomats behind. Jack breathed a sigh of relief at the temporary reprieve from questions. Ambassador Winters, Commander Velka approached, her forearms clasped in formal posture. Your cultural attaché will not be joining the military discussions? That's correct, Jack confirmed. Our cultural representatives aren't authorized to participate in military matters. Velka's expression remained analytical, most prudent. The Andorian Confederation has studied Earth's public military history extensively. Your species' approach to warfare is unconventional. Your strategies often disregard conventional wisdom, yet succeed through what appears to be a logical intuition. We're full of surprises, Jack said noncommittally. Indeed. Your Colonel Murphy's laws of combat are particularly instructive. If it's stupid but works, it isn't stupid. A uniquely Earth perspective. Velka paused. One wonders what strategies you choose not to share. As Velka departed for the symposium, Proconsul Draz Thar leaned close to Jack, his reptilian breath hot and sulfuric. The Veldarian Empire is not deceived by Earth's games. We will discover what you are hiding. After the military representatives had gone, the diplomatic reception continued in a more relaxed atmosphere. Jack found a quiet corner, hoping to gather his thoughts. But Milo appeared, vibrating with excitement. Boss, you won't believe what's happening. 3 different species just tried to bribe me for information about Earth's combat techniques. A silicon-based guy offered me rare minerals to explain something called our crazy human berserker mode, and the jellyfish people think we can regrow limbs in battle. Please tell me you didn't encourage these ideas, Jack pleaded. Milo's sheepish expression said everything. What exactly did you tell them? I might have mentioned that discussing military secrets would violate Protocol X7. There is no Protocol X7. They don't know that. Milo hissed. But they all got really quiet and respectful afterward. One of them actually bowed to me. Jack pinched the bridge of his nose. Milo, we're supposed to be clearing up misunderstandings, not creating galactic myths about Earth's military. Too late, Milo said, pointing across the room. Jack turned to see delegates from at least 12 species huddled together, casting furtive glances in their direction. Their expressions ranged from fearful to awestruck. Earth's reputation was apparently undergoing a significant, unwanted upgrade. Day 2 of the summit began with a series of tedious speeches about galactic harmony that Jack suspected was specifically designed to torture the delegates. He sat in the vast amphitheater, fighting to keep his eyes open while a tentacled diplomat from the Cephalon hegemony droned on about the 7,000 cycles of peace initiatives in a voice that sounded like wet gravel being ground together. Milo, seated beside him, was actually taking notes, which would have been commendable if he wasn't drawing elaborate doodles of what appeared to be the aliens around them wearing superhero capes. And now, announced Chief Facilitator Silos, skin rippling with formal purples, we will hear the military assessment reports from each delegation. Jack tensed. This was the part he'd been dreading. One by one, representatives from various species took the podium, presenting mind-numbingly detailed analyses of their defensive capabilities, but carefully edited to reveal nothing of actual strategic value. The Andorian commander Velka spoke of enhanced deterrent protocols. The Veldarian proconsul bragged about their overwhelming response doctrines. Even the gaseous beings had a military strategy involving atmospheric disruption techniques. Then came Earth's turn. The delegate from Earth, called Silos. Jack remained seated, feeling the weight of hundreds of alien eyes upon him. Earth declines to present a military assessment, he stated simply. The amphitheater erupted in murmurs. Silas's skin flashed confused yellows. This is unprecedented. All member species must participate in the assessment exchange. Earth is not a member species, Jack reminded him. We're observers. Even observers must demonstrate transparency, Drazthar growled from his seat. Unless Earth has something to hide. The atmosphere in the room shifted palpably. What had been diplomatic curiosity was rapidly transforming into suspicion. Jack rose slowly to his feet. Earth has nothing to hide. We simply believe that focusing on military capabilities runs counter to the spirit of a peace summit. How convenient, Drazthar sneered. Perhaps, suggested Commander Velka, Earth's cultural attaché could provide some general insights into Earth's defensive philosophy. A cultural perspective, rather than military specifics. All eyes turned to Milo, who looked up from his doodles with an expression of deer in headlights panic. Well, Milo stammered, rising to his feet. Earth's defense philosophy is simple. We don't start fights. He paused, then added, but we finish them. The translator devices around the room processed this statement with varying degrees of accuracy. Some species gasped. Others leaned forward with sudden interest. A threat? Drazdhar's frill extended fully. Not at all, Jack interjected quickly. It's a cultural saying. An idiom. A very pointed idiom, observed Velka. Before the situation could deteriorate further, the station's alarm system blared to life. Red emergency lights bathed the amphitheater, and the AI's voice echoed through the chamber. Security breach detected in docking bay 7. All delegates please remain in secure areas. Security teams respond immediately. The orderly diplomatic gathering transformed instantly into chaos. Species with heightened anxiety responses began emitting distress pheromones. Others extended defensive appendages. Several smaller delegates simply passed out. Silas's skin flashed emergency patterns. Please remain calm. Our security forces will handle this matter. The main doors to the amphitheater burst open. A group of heavily armed figures rushed in, their features obscured by environmental suits. Their leader, a tall humanoid with glowing red cybernetic enhancements visible through the faceplate, fired an energy weapon into the ceiling. Nobody move. The intruder commanded. This station is now under the control of the Free Spacer Collective. Pirates, Velka whispered, her forearms tensing in combat readiness. We have disabled the station's primary security systems, the pirate leader announced. Your pathetic military escorts are locked in their quarters. Any resistance will result in immediate atmospheric decompression. Jack and Milo exchanged glances. This was rapidly evolving from diplomatic embarrassment to life-threatening crisis. We demand the release of our comrades from the Galactic Council prison moon, continued the pirate. Until then, you distinguished delegates will be our honored guests. Drazthor snarled, his clawed hand moving toward what Jack suspected was a concealed weapon. Several other military attachés made similar subtle movements. The pirate leader noticed. I wouldn't advise heroics. We have positioned explosive devices throughout the station. One wrong move, and this entire peace summit becomes a very ironic obituary. Jack felt something tugging at his sleeve. Milo was gesturing frantically toward a service door half hidden behind decorative panels. Maintenance access, Milo whispered. I spotted it earlier out of habit. It'll lead to the utility corridors. For once, Jack was grateful for Milo's janitorial background. Can you get us out of here? Better than that, Milo replied with unexpected confidence. I can get to the environmental controls. The utility corridors of the Harmonious Accord station were decidedly less harmonious than the public areas. Exposed pipes leaked suspicious fluids, junction boxes sparked ominously, and the lighting flickered like a horror movie cliché. For once, Jack was grateful for the shabby infrastructure. Maintenance standards have really slipped since the budget cuts, Milo observed professionally as he led them through the maze of service tunnels. See that coolant line. Totally out of regulation. And don't get me started on these filter systems. Focus, Milo. Pirates. Hostages. Crisis. Right, sorry. Occupational habit. They turned a corner and nearly collided with three figures. Jack barely suppressed a shout before recognizing Commander Velka and two of her officers. Ambassador Winters. Velka's voice was calm, despite the situation. I see Earth's representatives found an alternative exit as well. Maintenance access, Jack explained. Milo has a cultural interest in infrastructure. Velka's four eyes blinked in that unsettling, simultaneous way Andorians had. Indeed. Most convenient. We are attempting to reach the security override in Communications Bay 4. Our military contingent is locked down, but with command access we can free them. Actually, Milo interjected. I have a better idea. He pointed to a schematic on the wall. Environmental control is 2 sections over. We could adjust the atmospheric mix in the amphitheater. Nothing harmful. Just enough to, make our pirate friends really sleepy. That would endanger the delegates, one of Velka's officers objected. Not if we do it right, Milo countered with unexpected authority. Most environmental systems have section-specific controls. We create a distraction, get the delegates out, then pump the sleepy gas to the bad guys only. He paused. I mean, that's just a cultural observation. Velka studied Milo intensely. Your cultural attaché displays remarkable tactical thinking, Ambassador Winters, almost as if he had specialized training. Jack swallowed. Earth culture includes a lot of problem-solving and action movies, Milo added helpfully. Before Velka could respond, the corridor shook with a distant explosion. Emergency lights flashed, and the station's AI announced warning. Hull breach detected in Section 7. Emergency protocols engaged. The pirates must be demonstrating their resolve, Velka said grimly. We are out of time for debate. We will follow your cultural attaché's plan. 20 minutes later, Jack found himself wedged into an environmental control booth with Milo, Velka, and her increasingly skeptical officers. Milo's fingers danced across the alien control panel with surprising confidence. "See, it's really not that different from the sanitation systems back home," he explained. "This regulates temperature, this controls humidity, and this," he pointed to a glowing purple interface, "manages atmospheric composition. We just need to introduce a mild sedative gas to Section A3 while leaving A2 unaffected. And you know how to do this because," Jack prompted nervously. "Remember last year when that weird fungus got into the embassy ventilation? Same principle. Except, on purpose this time." Velka was watching with what Jack recognized as the Andorian equivalent of suspicion. "Your cultural representatives are remarkably well versed in tactical operations, Ambassador. One might almost suspect them of being specialized operatives." "What?" "No, Milo is just adaptable." "Adaptability is a primary trait of elite tactical units," Velka observed. "The Andorian Confederation has long suspected Earth maintained covert operational specialists. Your refusal to acknowledge military presence suggested psychological warfare tactics." "That's ridiculous," Jack protested. "Got it," Milo exclaimed. "Now we just need a distraction to get everyone moving from A3 to A2 before I trigger the gas release." "A distraction such as?" Velka prompted. Milo grinned. "I'm thinking fire suppression systems. Nothing gets a crowd moving like suddenly being soaked." Jack watched in horror as Milo initiated what was either a brilliant tactical maneuver or the biggest diplomatic incident in Earth's short galactic history. On the monitors, they could see the chaos unfold. The sprinkler equivalent systems activated over half the amphitheater. Delegates scrambled away from the sudden downpour, creating exactly the movement pattern Milo had predicted. The pirates, confused by the technical malfunction, were shouting and waving weapons. Now, Milo hit the sequence of controls. On the screens, a barely visible mist began filling the sections where the pirates had congregated. Within moments, the armed figures began to sway on their feet. One by one, they collapsed. "It worked," Jack whispered in disbelief. "Of course it worked," Milo replied, offended. "Basic maintenance protocols. Always separate your chemical storage from your ventilation systems." Velka turned to Jack, all four of her eyes wide. "Ambassador Winters, I believe I now understand Earth's reluctance to bring military representatives to these summits." "You do?" "Oh, yes. Because you bring them anyway, disguised as cultural attaches." She looked at Milo with new respect. "Quite brilliant. The perfect cover." The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened 12 hours after what was already being called the Harmonious Accord incident. Jack sat at Earth's observer desk, nursing his third cup of coffee and watching with a surreal sense of detachment as the council chambers buzzed with excited conversations in dozens of languages. Beside him, Milo wore a new set of diplomatic robes, gifted by the Andorian delegation. He was signing autographs for a group of awestruck junior diplomats from the Plegarian cluster. "This is completely out of control," Jack muttered. "I know," Milo agreed cheerfully. "They want me to write a tactical manual, i.e., the guy who once got stuck in an air duct trying to rescue a sandwich." Before Jack could respond, Chief Facilitator Silos called the session to order, skin pulsing with formal golds and blues. "Esteemed delegates, we convened this emergency session to address the events of yesterday's unfortunate security breach. First, let us extend gratitude to those responsible for resolving the crisis without loss of life." All eyes turned toward the Earth delegation. Jack slouched lower in his seat. "The Free Spacer Collective pirates have been taken into custody," Silos continued. "However, this incident raises serious questions about our security protocols. The military symposium will convene a special investigation." Great Proconsul Drazthar rose to his full, intimidating height. "Before we proceed, the Veldarian Empire demands acknowledgement of what transpired. Earth has deliberately misled the Council about its military capabilities." Jack leapt to his feet. "That's absolutely not." "The Veldarian Empire agrees with Earth," Drazthar interrupted. Wait, what? Jack froze mid-objection. The strategy was commendable. The words seemed physically painful for the reptilian to pronounce, placing covert tactical operatives in diplomatic roles, concealing true capabilities behind a facade of reluctance. The Veldarian Empire respects strength and cunning. Earth has demonstrated both. Tuesday. But we didn't. Jack tried again. Commander Velka stood next. The Andorian Confederation concurs. Earth's unorthodox approach to the crisis displayed tactical brilliance consistent with their historical record. We formally withdraw any objections to Earth's method of representation. The council chamber erupted in supportive chittering, buzzing and various species-specific sounds of agreement. This is madness, Jack whispered to Milo. We have to tell them the truth. Do we though? Milo whispered back. Because I'm pretty sure Drazthar just stopped looking at us like convenient snacks. Jack approached the central podium with what he hoped was diplomatic dignity. Esteemed delegates, I appreciate your compliments, but there's been a misunderstanding. Milo is genuinely a cultural attaché. His actions yesterday were improvised, not the result of military training. The chamber fell silent for precisely 3 seconds before erupting in what Jack recognized as alien laughter. Classic Earth humor, as Xylos's translator announced, skin rippling with amused pinks, and maintaining the deception even now. I'm serious. Earth doesn't send military representatives because Jack realized he didn't actually know why. Look, it's complicated. Of course it is. Ambassador, Velka said with what passed for an Andorian smile, your secret is safe with the entire galactic community. 3 days later, Jack sat in his office back on Earth, staring at Director Powell, who was reading the summit report with an expression that fluctuated between horror and amusement. Let me get this straight, Powell said finally. The Galactic Council now believes that Earth disguises elite military operatives as diplomatic staff. Yes, Director. And they respect us for it. The Veldarians have withdrawn their territorial claims on 3 systems near our space. The Andorians have offered a technology exchange program. 6 minor species have requested Earth's protection. Powell leaned back in her chair, thoughtful, and all because a janitor fixed the air conditioning. Essentially. Well, I suppose I should finally tell you why we never send military representatives, Powell said with a sigh. Jack leaned forward eagerly. Please do. Because they're boring as hell at parties. Powell shrugged at Jack's dumbfounded expression. Have you ever been stuck talking to Admiral Blackwood about tactical formations? Or General Martinez about supply chain logistics? We decided years ago that subjecting aliens to that level of mind-numbing military shop talk would constitute an act of war. Jack stared. That's it? That's the big secret? And they kept trying to one-up the alien military types, which nearly started 3 interstellar incidents. Powell smiled. But I like this new arrangement better. Let's keep it going. From orbit high above the Harmonious Accord station, a cloaked Earth military observation vessel recorded everything. In the command center, Admiral Kira Chen watched the footage of Milo's improvised solution with a mixture of professional respect and amusement. Well played, Maintenance Division, she murmured. Well played. Lieutenant Commander Davis looked up from his console. Should we include this in our report, Admiral? Chen smiled. Absolutely. And make a note, we're definitely sitting out the next summit too. Let the diplomats handle it. They're doing a better job than we ever could.